Hey everyone, it's Jeannie and I'm back to share this fun rainbow card featuring honeybee stamps, best of everything stamp set, and the Into the Woods 3D embossing folder. I actually went into this card kind of like experimenting because I'm not a big user of the 3D embossing folders, mainly because I never took the time to learn the different layers and sandwiches to run it through my die cut machine, and honestly, I still don't, but here we are. So I wanted to start off with a light wash of distress inks, so I picked all these like pastel-y colors for my base, and it's because I saw somebody do an embossing folder this way, and I was like, oh, that's really cool because you can really see the dimension and the depth in the 3D embossing folders, which if you've used the 3D embossing folder, they're like super dimensional, but the sandwich always had scared me. Anyway, so I'm gonna go in with this layer, and I'm doing this on Hammermill cardstock, which is a little bit smoother and easier to blend, but you will see that I still had trouble because one of my colors, like Shabby Cheddar, this green, is not the easiest to blend, and I don't know why. I think it's because my little foam pad wasn't saturated with the ink, so I was getting really like messy, choppy blending, and that's okay because later we'll be going over these colors again and you won't even notice. So it looks weird now, but trust me, it'll look better later. So I'll have all the listed colors down below in my description box, but you'll notice I swap out my antique linen with scattered straw. Antique linen was just so light and I really wanted something a little bit brighter, and it almost kind of looks like orange, but it worked out. Okay, for the sandwich, I have a Gemini Junior that I'm going to use, and so the sandwich is a clear base, a metal shim, then you place your paper in the 3D embossing paper, and then you use the plastic shim. I also added another piece of cardstock because I just really wanted that extra depth, because I did an experiment and it did run it through and it looked fine, but I really wanted that extra like shim in there just to get that really deep embossed look. And then I pulled out all my brighter colors of rainbow that kind of match. So I'm gonna list the colors down below again, and you will see that you are really seeing the embossing come to life. And I think that this was the best trick I've learned from watching a video, because it just makes it look so much better. It makes it dimensional. When you ink blend over it, it kind of picks up the ink in the little nooks and crannies, and it really emphasizes the embossed look, and you can really tell that these are trees. So I had this idea in my head because I had seen a bunch of embossed cards with like gold and black backgrounds, and I wanted to do that here, but I just didn't really think that I could because of how the trees are. There's different layers of the trees. Instead, I grabbed the Honeybee Stamps metallic gold ink and I decided to run it over and just give it kind of more of a rustic look, kind of like making the rainbow colors not so bright, but then you get that shimmer from the gold, which is very subtle, but when you shine it against the light in person, you can see it. For the sentiment, I went with super simple. I used the Best of Everything stamp set, and I stamped it in the middle of my brown cardstock that I'm going to use to mat it, mainly because you won't see the back of it, so you won't know that there's like a chunk of the cardstock cut out. And I will be stamping with clear embossing ink from Honeybee Stamps and heat embossing with Hero Art's gold embossing powder. So this is a very simple sentiment. It's thinking of you. It comes with coordinating honey cuts, which is really cool. I didn't realize that this honey cut actually cuts out each of the words. So you get 3 different die cuts, thinking of and you. And I actually would have preferred if it was just in one line, but I see why you would do that. So you can stack them however you want. I had a bit of trouble because these are a little bit smaller, but because I wanted to mat on my brown cardstock, I had to trim down my card panel by about 1/4 of an inch on the top and the side, and this will allow like a small border around my card panel. And I do the matting with all my cards all the time. It's nothing new. I just think it really pops the panel and it just makes it look pretty, and there's more contrast with it. So I'll go ahead and adhere it, and then once I figure out my placement of the Thinking of You, I'll go ahead and glue this down. I don't even think I've ever featured an embossed card on my channel because it's just something I don't love using. I had to Google the Gemini Junior sandwich, and I also have the Big Shot, which I thought would be easier to use with the sandwich. I could not figure it out for the life of me, so I didn't bother. I looked up the Gemini one and then I used that and it worked out. So I think I'll be using this more often now that I know the sandwich. And yeah, so I couldn't leave this alone, and Honeybee Stamps has a ton of gem stickers, so I pulled out the Real Rainbow one because it had every single color that I use. So I just place gems everywhere, and confession, I really don't know what I'm doing when I'm putting gems. I'm just placing them everywhere. I've kind of noticed that once I put them down and they look weird, I walk away and I come back and it looks fine. So I think don't put too much thought into doing it because it'll be fine, and you'll think that it was like a random placement that just looks fine once you walk away and come back. So you'll see that I'm just placing the coordinating gem colors in the area of the same colors, and they don't match perfectly, and that's okay. I just wanted some glitter and some bling on this, and I probably put too many, but I don't really care at this point. I thought it looked cool, and I just had this card in my head with these rainbow trees, and I thought it was just going to be really pretty to put together. So yeah, once I finish putting as many gems as my heart desires onto this card is more or less finished. I might have moved them around a little bit, but other than that, this is one of the most simple cards I've made recently. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye!